na 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 na, ya na 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 na, ya na 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 na, na 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 ya na 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 ya na 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 ya na 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 ya na 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 ya na 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 ya na 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 ya na 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 ya na 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 ya na 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 ya na na ya na 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 ya na 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 ya na 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 ya na 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 ya na 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 ya na 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 ya na 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 ya na 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 ya na 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 ya na 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 ya na 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 ya na 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 ya na 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 ya na 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 ya na 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 Shabbat Shalom, everyone. I know that some of you who know me well love the Breslauer Lechadodi Nigun. It's always good to remember that nigunim are actually a technical thing in Hasidic tradition. And one of the reasons I love that one so much is it actually follows the correct form. I know that's awful to say such things, but it's actually true. Most of the niguns that we call nigunim today, we call niguns because we say yadai. Nigun means melody in Hebrew, but an actual Hasidic nigun has a very specific form, and it's important. It has an A, B, C, B form. If you're not a music nerd, here's what that means. We start with something, yananai, nananai, nananai, right? First thing, that's A. Then we go to the yananai, nananai, nananai, that's B. And then we go to C, yananai. Notice how each time we're going higher and higher and higher. We're elevating ourselves in the music, and then we come back to yananai, yananai. But what we don't do is go all the way back to the yananai, because that's A. And every time we pray, we're to be a nigun. We are the nigun of the universe. We are the melody of the universe, the best that we can do as human beings. And so we want to read into the universe elevation. And so every time we pray, we elevate ourselves. And that nigun is also the form of all prayer, including Kabbalat Shabbat. We have our warm-up, the Psalms to get us through the past week. And then we have our moving into the Shema V'Techa, the Shema and her blessings. And that's that B, that one step up. And then we enter into that silent space where we encounter that which is greater than us, our time in the Amidah. And then we come back through our final songs and maybe a small drasha, and we get to the end of the service and then we're elevated. We don't go back to the beginning. So in order to elevate ourselves, we can't be passive there. Seriously, if you're here every single time I do a service, you should have a percussion instrument, some sort. Go get yourself even an inexpensive drum, because you should be sitting there reading through the prayer book, singing along. These melodies are all on SoundCloud, and you've heard this over and over again. They're on YouTube now. But you need to be a part of it. You need to be singing along. Judaism is a participation sport. It's actually not something to be in the audience. So let's join in this place together. I need Shabbos. You need Shabbos. We have lost in the last few weeks in Israel 3 of our true Gedolim. Last time we talked about Chaim Topol. In the last few weeks we've lost Meir Shalev. And then, of course, just this week, Yonatan Geffen, whose funeral was today. And might be a song and a little bit of sadness in this household that comes out from that. And if you don't know who these people are, then it's a good time to figure out who they are, because they have influenced so much of the last few generations. And so we are going to welcome their memory into our service tonight. I am praying out of the Reform UK prayer book, which starts Kabbalat Shabbat on page 111. If you have a different Siddur, great. Find Lechuna Ranana right at the beginning of Kabbalat Shabbat. We've got a psalm for each day of the week to take us all the way back from last Sunday, Yom Rishon, up through today, this moment when we finally enter Shabbat. We get 2 songs for Shabbat, with the breath between each one reminding ourselves that we need to let go of the week, or make a mental note that we have to repair something that we've broken or have been part of something broken. And then we reach Shabbat together and we welcome. We don't just get it. We actually have to welcome the Sabbath into our lives. Page 111, Lechuna Ranana, deep breath as we take ourselves back to the beginning of the week, Yom Rishon. Lechuna Ranana L'Adonai, Lechuna Ranana L'Adonai, Nari L'Tzur Ishenu, Nari L'Tzur Ishenu, Nekad ma'afana betoda b'zmiro narialo, Nekad ma'afana betoda b'zmiro narialo, Ki el gadol Adonai u'melech gadol hakol Elohim, Ki el gadol Adonai u'melech gadol hakol Elohim, Asher benu mekare haaretz v'tofot harim lo, Asher lo hayam vehu asahu v'yabeshet yadav yitzaru, Boi nishagavei v'nichra ani v'chalivnei Adonai Hoseinu, Ki hu Eloheinu v'naknu amarito v'tzon yado hayom mikolo tishmanu. Psalm 96, deep breath, Monday, Yom Shini. Shiru l'Adonai, Shir chadash shiru l'Adonai, kol haaretz. Shiru l'Adonai, baruch shemo basru miyom leyom yeshuato. Shiru l'Adonai, baruch shemo basru miyom leyom yeshuato. Shiru l'Adonai baruch shemo basru miyom leyom yeshuato. Sapru v'goyim kevodo bechol ha'amim niflotav. Ki gadol Adonai u'hulal meod norahu al kol Elohim. Ki kol Elohei ha'amim elelim v'Adonai shamayim asa hod ve'hada lefanav oz v'tiferet b'mekdasho. אהבו לאדוני, משפחות עמים אהבו לאדוני, כבוד ועוז. אהבו לאדוני, כבוד שמו שאו מנחה לחצרותיו. השתחוו לאדוני בהדרת קודש, חילו מפניו כל הארץ. אמרו הגויים אדוני מלך, אף תיכון תבל בל תימות, ידי נעמים במי שערים. ישמחו השמיים, ישמחו השמיים, ישמחו השמיים ותגל הארץ. ישמחו השמיים, ישמחו השמיים, ישמחו השמיים ותגל הארץ. ירם הים, ירם הים, ירם הים, ירם הים, ירם הים, ירם הים ומלואו. ירם הים, ירם הים, ירם הים ומלואו. ישמחו השמיים ותגל הארץ, ירם הים ומלואו. יעלו שדי וכל אשר בו, אז נקלצי יער. לפני אדוני קיווה לשפוט הארץ, ישפוט ובצדק ועמים באמונתו. אדוני מלך, תגל הארץ, ישמחים רבים, ענן וסביביו, צדק משפט מכון כיסו. אש לפניו תלך, ודלהט סביב צריו, הרי ברקיו תבל, ותבת על הארץ. הרים כדוני נמסו, לפני אדוני לפני אדום כל הארץ. הגיוס השמיים צדקו, וכל העמים כבודו. יבשו כל עול נפסל, המתהללים הבלילים, המשתגמו לו כל העולים, שמעו ותשמח ציון. ותגלנה בנות יהודה למען משפטך אדוני, כי אתה אדוני עליון על כל הארץ, מאוד נעלת על כל אלוהים. אוהבי אדוני שנואה, שומר נפשו, חסידיו מיד רשעים יצילם. אור זרוע לצדיק ולישרי לב שמחה. אור זרוע לצדיק ולישרי לב שמחה. שמחו צדיקים באדוני, באדוני, והודו לזכר קודשו, לזכר קודשו, קודשו. אור זרוע לצדיק ולישרי לב שמחה. אור זרוע לצדיק ולישרי לב שמחה. Deep breath. Find our way to Wednesday. there's harmony that goes with this one. If you listen to my recording, you can figure out the harmony. Mizmor shiru l'Adonai shir chadash ki niflot asa hoshia lo yamino uzroa kodsho hodia Adonai Yeshuato Le'enei hagoyim Gilat tzidkato Zachar chazdo Ve'emunato Levet Yisrael Chol afse haaretz et Yeshuat Eloheinu Hariu l'Adonai kol haaretz Pitzchu v'rannenu Zamru l'Adonai Bechino Bechino v'kol zimra B'chatzot zerot v'kol shofar Hariu lifnei hamelech Adonai Teve ve'yosheva neharot yimchaucha Yachat harim yananeinu Lifnei Adonai Kiva lishpot haaretz Yishpot teve b'tzedek Ve'amim Mesharim. I think sometimes when good things happen, you just need to tell people, and I don't know what it was, but I felt such a wave of joy washing over me singing that today. Sing a song to the eternal, a new song to the source of wondrous deeds. Yeah, you know what? There are wondrous things in the world, and we focus on so often what is not wondrous. I guess maybe it's that I'm sitting in the room with an amazing, beautiful Rebbitzin and an amazing kitty cat, and, you know, there's some beautiful stuff in life, and right now I'm just feeling a lot of joy, which is not the worst thing in the world to admit. Adonai melach yigzu amin, yoshev g'rovim tanut haaretz, Adonai b'tzion gadol v'ramu kol al kol ha'amim, Yonu shemecha gadol v'nora, Kadosh hu. Romemu, Romemu, Adonai, Eloheinu, Romemu, Romemu, Adonai, Romemu. Romemu, Adonai, Eloheinu, Romemu, Romemu, Adonai. Ve'ishtachavu lehar kodsho, Ve'ishtachavu lehar kodsho, Ve'ishtachavu lehar kodsho, Ve'kodsho. Ki kadosh, Adonai, Eloheinu ki kadosh Adonai, ki kadosh Adonai, Eloheinu ki kadosh Adonai. Veishtachav lehar kodsho, Veishtachav lehar kodsho, Veishtachav lehar kodsho, Vekodsho. Veishtachav lehar kodsho, Veishtachav lehar kodsho, Veishtachav lehar kodsho, Vekodsho. Mismor David, Havul Adonai ben Elim, Havul Adonai, Kavod va'oz yainai, Havul Adonai, Kevod shemo ishtachavu l'Adonai behadrat kodesh, Kol Adonai al hamayim el hakavod yirim, Adonai al mayim rabim, Kol Adonai b'koach yainai, Kol Adonai be'adar, Kol Adonai shover arazim, Vayesh ben Adonai et azei avanon, Vayarkidem kemo egel Levanon, Ve'Sirion kemoven Emim yainai, Kol Adonai chotzem lavodesh, Kol Adonai yachil midbar, Yachil Adonai midbar kadesh, Kol Adonai yechol el ayalot, Vayechesov ye'arot, Vechalo kulo omer kavod yainai, Adonai lama bo yashav yeshev, Adonai melech leolam, Adonai oz le'amo yiten, Adonai yevarech et amo v'shalom. Yainai nai nai nai, yainai nai nai, yainai nai nai nai, yainai nai 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 nai, yainai 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 nai nai nai, yainai nai nai, yainai nai. Lechadodi nikrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nekabela, Lechadodi nikrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nekabela, Lechadodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nekabela, Lechadodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nekabela. Shamo v'zecho b'dibur echad, Hishmianu el hameyuchad, Adonai echad u'shemo echad, L'shemo tiferet v'litila. Lechadodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nekabela, Lechadodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nekabela, לקראת שבת לכו ונלכה, כי היא מקור הברכה, מראש מקדם נסוכה, סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה. לך דודי, לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. מקדש מלכי מלוכה, קומי צאי מתוך ההפכה, רב לך שבת בעמק הבכה, והוא יחמול עלייך חמלה. לך דודי, לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. היא נערי מעפר קומי, לפשי בגדי תפתח עמי, על יד בן ישי בית הלחמי, קרבה על נפשי כעלה. לך דודי, לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. התעוררי, התעוררי, כי באורי קומי אורי, 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 שתדברי, כבוד אדוני עלייך נגלה. לך דודי, לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. 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 לא תבושי ולא תקלמי, מה תשתוכחי ומה תהמי, בך יחסו אני עמי ונבנתה עיר אל תילה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. והיו למשיסה שוסייך, ורחקו כל מבלייך, יסיס עלייך אלוהייך, ימצוס חתנה על כלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. ימין ושמאל תפרוצי, ואת אדוני תריצי, על יד איש בן פרצי, ונשמחה ונגילה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. בואי בשלום עטרת בעלה, גם בשמחה ובצהולה, תוך אמונה עם סגולה. בואי כלה, בואי כלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. Now it's Shabbos. Another deep breath as we prepare to take a second portion, a double soul. And instead of just thinking of that as a nice smiley story, what does it mean to actually create time where we have twice the ability to connect with others. And what happens when we choose to do that? What happens when we choose to not do that? The Sabbath is important, even if we sometimes think it's an outdated idea. We have an opportunity to connect in a world that thinks it's connected, but spends an awful lot of time tearing itself apart. That's Mizmor Shir Le'Yom HaShabbat. It is good to give thanks to the Eternal every day, but on this Sabbath day, it's just a little bit easier if we are currently unplugged and ready to do that. Mizmor Shir Le'Yom HaShabbat Tov lehodot LaAdonai Usameh leShimcha Elyon lehagid Baboker chazdecha Ve'emunatecha Baleilot le'asov Aleina Ve'alei higayon Bechino Kisimatani Adonai Befolecha B'maaseh Yadecha Haranein Magadlu Maasecha Adonai Meod Amaku Machshavotecha ish ba'alo yed U'silel yavin etzod Bifroach Resha'im Kemo esev Vayatzitzu kol po'alei aven Vishamnam ma'adei ad Ve'ata Maro Le'olam Adonai Ve'ata Marom Le'olam Adonai Ve'ata Marom Le'olam Adonai Ve'ata Marom Le'olam Adonai Ki hine v'chanai Ki hine avech yovedu Yitparuku polei aven Metarim karim Kani bloti b'shamen Meta betanei Meshrabek hamim alai Meraim Tishmana oznai Tzadik tamar Yifrach Ke'erez balvanon Yisgei Shetulim Beveit Adonai Bechatzrot Eloheinu Yafrichu Od Yenuvon Beseva Deshenim Vera'ananim Yiyu Lehagid Ki Yashar Adonai Tzuri Tzuri Velo Havlatabo Adonai Malach Geut Levesh Adonai Oz Hit Azar Aftikon Tevel Baltimot Nachon Kisecha Me'az Me'olam Ata Naseu Neharot Adonai Naseu Neharot Kolam Yiseu Neharot Dochyam Mikolot Maim Rabim Adirim Mishpareyam Mikolot Maim Rabim Adirim Mishpareyam Adir Bamarom Adonai Adir Bamarom Adonai Mikolot Maim Rabim Adirim mishbereyam Bikolot mayim rabim Adirim mishbereyam Adir mamarom Adonai Adir mamarom Adonai Adir bamarom Adonai Adir bamarom Adonai Erotechnem me'od levetchanev HaKodesh Adonai le'orech yamim. That was our warm-up. Without a minion present in this space, we don't do a Baruch Hu, but we acknowledge its space, the purpose of the Baruch Hu, to make sure that we're all ready to enter into this elevated space. We've come this far. We now have the possibility to elevate further. So look left and right. If there's someone in the room with you, just make their eyes. If not, then see those people that you want to lift up. We are all together in this one way or another. That's part of the reason that the Eternal's name is the Eternal. Existence, being, we are all in this together. That is one of the not so secret meanings of Adonai Echad, which is what we're getting to in this part of our Siddur. Bless the living God whom we are called to bless. Bless is the living God whom we are called to bless forever and ever. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bidvaro ma'ariv arvim b'chokhma poteach she'arim ובתבונה משנה עתים ומחליף את הזמנים ומסדר את הכוכבים במשמרותיהם ברקיע כרצונו. Roll into dark, roll into light, night becomes day, and day turns to night. Roll into dark, roll into light, night becomes day, and day turns to night. Borei yom v'layla, golel o mipnei choshech, golel o mipnei choshech, v'choshech mipnei or. Roll into dark, roll into light, night becomes day, and day turns to night. Roll into dark, roll into light, night becomes day, and day turns to night. Borei yom v'layla, golel or mipnei choshech, golel or mipnei choshech, v'choshech mipnei or. Hamever yom v'meivin layla, mevdil ben yom v'ben layla. Adonai tzavaot shemo, Baruch atah Adonai, Hamaniv Aravi. Ahavat olam Beit Yisrael Amecha ahavta, ahavat olam Beit Yisrael Amecha ahavta. תורה ומצוות, חוקים, משפטים אותן לימדת. תורה ומצוות, חוקים, משפטים אותן לימדת. על כן אדוני אלוהינו בשוכבנו ובקומנו נשיח בחוקיך ונשמח ונעלוס בדברי תורתך ובמצוותיך וחוקותיך לעולם ועד, לעולם ועד. כי הם חיינו ואורך ימינו ובהם נגיע יומם ולילה. כי הם חיינו ואורך ימינו ובהם נגיע יומם ולילה. כי הם חיינו ואורך ימינו ובהם נגיע יומם ולילה. כי הם חיינו ואורך ימינו ובהם נגיע יומם ולילה. ואהבתך אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים, לעולמים. ברוך אתה אדוני אוהב את עמו ישראל. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Adonai Echad. Shem kevod, Shem kevod, malchuto leolam, leolam vayed. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך ושננתם לבניך ודברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם נאות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם למזוזות ביתך ובשעריך והים שמור תשמעו מצוותיי שאנוכי מצווה אתכם היום לאהוב את אדוני אלוהיכם ונאהבתם את ארצכם ביתו למען ירבו ימיכם כי מהשמיים על הארץ למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים אני אדוני אלוהיכם אדוני אלוהיכם אמת ואמונה כל זאת וקיים עלינו כי הוא אדוני אלוהינו ואין זולתו ואנחנו ישראל עמו הסגדולות עד אין חקר ונפלאות עד אין מספר ורע ובנה וגבורתו שבחו והודו לשמו ומלכותו ברצון קיבלו עליהם משה ומרים ובני ישראל לך ענו שירה בשמחה רבה ואמרו כולם מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נדע בקודש, נורא תהילות הוסף אלי. מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נדע בקודש, נורא תהילות הוסף אלי. מלכותך אדוני אלוהינו, רובנך על הים, יחד כולם הודו והמליכו ואמרו, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נדע בקודש, נורא תהילות הוסף אלי. פני מקיפת אדוני את יעקב, גרמיר חזק ממנו, ברוך אתה אדוני גאל ישראל. השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום, והעמידנו מלכנו לחיים. השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום, שלום, והעמידנו מלכנו לחיים. ופרוס עלינו סוכת שלומך, ופרוס עלינו סוכת שלומך. השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום, לשלום, והעמידנו מלכנו לחיים. Source of our life and our sovereign, cause us to lie down in peace and rise again to enjoy life. Spread over us the covering of your peace. Guide us with your good counsel and save us for the sake of your name. Be a shield about us, turning away every enemy, disease, violence, hunger, and sorrow. Remove the temptation that awaits us and the guilt that lies behind us. Shelter us in the shadow of your wings, for you are a God who guards and protects us, a ruler of mercy and compassion. Guard us when we go out and when we come in to enjoy life and peace both now and forever, and spread over us the shelter of your peace. Blessed are you, eternal, spreading the shelter of peace over us, over your people Israel, and over all the world. Baruch atah Adonai, hapoeskat shalom aleinu ve'al mo Yisrael ve'al kol ha'olam. V'shameru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat, l'dorot ha'merit olam. Yainai beni uven bnei Yisrael oti leolam. Ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai et hashamayim ve'et haaretz Shabbat. Uvayom hashvi'i Shabbat vayi nafash. Uvayom hashvi'i Shabbat vayi nafash. Silent Amida beginning on page 140. Just keep on davening. If you're at home, you can put playback on hold and take as much time as you need. לבכות לך, תהיה חזק למעלה. געגועי, גדולות הטוב שנפתחות בלילה. לנצח אחי, אזכור אותך תמיד, וניפגש בסוף, אתה יודע. ויש לי חברים, אבל גם הם קווים, אל מול אורך המשגע. כשהצופים חול הים לכם הים מלוח, וזה הצוף שלך ציוד אפשר לגעגוע. לנצח אחי אזכור אותך תמיד, וניפגש בסוף, אתה יודע. ויש לי חברים, אבל גם הם קווים, אל מולך המשגע. וכל גלים אנחנו מתנפצים אל המזח, אל החיים. וכמו הגלים אנחנו מתנפצים אל המזח, אל החיים. לנצח אחי אזכור אותך תמיד, וניפגש בסוף, אתה יודע. ויש לי חברים, אבל גם הם קווים אל מול אורך המשגע. אני הולך לבכות לך, תהיה חזק למעלה. Without having any time to prepare that, that's not doing either Aviv Geffen or Arik Einstein justice. But yeah, if you don't know who Yonatan Geffen is, I think that you should probably do some reading. I think that looking at all that we've lost among our Gedolim, those who Ahad Ha'am predicted correctly, it's funny, among our great Zionist Gedolim, Herzl and Ahad Ha'am, Herzl is considered the father of Zionism, but he was completely wrong. He said everyone would want to move to Israel, and that didn't happen. The Galut is a place where most of us do have our home, where Ahad Ha'am said, what we're going to have is a cultural prism that the light comes through and then shines out and influences the rest of the world. And Yonatan Geffen was one of those people. I mean, that's exactly who Ahad Ha'am was talking about. And, he was a writer par excellence, songwriter, poet, playwright, writer of children's books. And losing him, and then also a writer like Meir Shalev, and then an artist like Chaim Topol, and apparently a Mossad agent like Chaim Topol, as we now know, it's worth, as Aviv Geffen wrote, and it was originally sung by Arik Einstein, and then Aviv Geffen revived it, and it's forever associated with the assassination of Yitzhak Rabin. But I think that Aviv Geffen probably wouldn't mind very much if we sung that to honor his father out here in the Galut. I'm guessing that would be the case. So that's already a lot of talking, and maybe I shouldn't give a drasha tonight, but I'll give a brief one. I did post a Stirring Torah. If you don't know what Beit Virtuali is, every week I do post it's kind of a drasha, but I try to stir things up and cause people to think a little bit. And the one this week was a meta sermon, because we are at Tetzriya Metzora, which is, in the last few years, my absolute least favorite parsha, or parsha pair, because, I've become allergic to just about everything on the face of this planet on my skin, and I just don't want to be talking about skin stuff. And the classical sermon, also, I'm tired of. The classical sermon that is given around the world during this pair of parshiot is about Lashon Hora, and there's two reasons for it. So we've got this scaly white thing on the skin, but also affects clothing and also affects your house. And so there are two classic reasons why this is associated with Lashon Hora, with that's the technical Hebrew term for talking smack, which is the technical English term. And there's two reasons, one direct and then one that is pretty clear to see, slightly indirect. The direct one is when Miriam, sister to Moses, talked smack against Moses, she was inflicted with tzara'at, so that's pretty direct. And then if you want to reach further in the Talmud, the rabbis added an additional 6 to make 7 total sins that would cause us to get tzara'at. Not my theme for tonight. Have at it and have fun if you want. And then the other one is, well, if you can get tzara'at on your house, the walls of your house, then, you need to then destroy the wall of the house. And if you've lived in single-family homes your entire life, then it's not intuitive. If you've only lived in, or mostly lived in apartments, it's incredibly intuitive that when you tear down the wall of your house, your neighbors are torn down as well. And there's your great symbol of Lashon Hora, that, even if we say we're doing this in the privacy of our own home, Lashon Hora does tear down. But the main reason that I haven't wanted to talk about that is because, as I said in my Stirring Torah, and this is the last I'll say of it because it goes in a different direction and you should really watch it, I just don't have the heart anymore because I consider getting anyone to listen to this sermon mission impossible. And that's the line I should have used in my Stirring Torah video, and I didn't. So now it's there. Go and watch that, put it together, and it will all make sense. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, just deep breath and watch Stirring Torah later, and it'll make sense. And it is so frustrating, not only to see what happens in communities, but also for myself, because there's not a single one of us that does not participate in Lashon Hora. I've actually never met a tzaddik. If there's a tzaddik, perhaps they have the ability to do that, but it's what we do. As the old joke goes, when Shlomo von Chelm meets Pinchas von Chelm, and Pinchas says to Shlomo, I've got something to tell you, but it might be Lashon Hora. And the response is, tell you what, you tell me what it is, and I'll tell you if it's Lashon Hora. Well, that's who we are, because we all hate it when people talk about us, but we say Lashon Hora is bad when it affects us, and then we justify it when we say to someone else. And so this Mission Impossible, I've given this sermon, and I haven't changed, and no one else seems to have changed, and it's gotten quite a bit worse because social media is fueled by Lashon Hora. It's what we do. And what's interesting, it's easy to justify. It's easy to justify how we say negative things. It's easy to justify looking through someone's Twitter feed and finding something from 20 years ago and then posting it out there and ruining their careers in life because they deserved it, because they said those things. Well, number one, which of us want to be judged for the worst 200 characters we've ever said in our life? And it goes back to, once again, we do constantly what we would never, ever, ever want done to us, but yet we justify it. And that goes to the larger ethical consideration of Judaism, because everyone's going to agree out there. That which is reprehensible to you, you should not do to someone else. Unless you're a sociopath, you're going to agree with the basic ethical statement of Judaism that comes through Hillel, that really is a restatement of love your neighbor as yourself, and the stranger in your midst you shall love as yourself, because you were once strangers in Egypt. We're all going to agree with it, but we don't do it. And we don't do it because we can justify it. And we justify it in many, many different ways. And hey, listen, I'll give you what my justification for Lashon Hora is. My justification for the last few years, when I started becoming really concerned about this, is, all right, fine, I won't say anything unless I would also say that to their face. Well, if you're using that justification like I do, that should be said to the face of that person then, shouldn't it? Like I said, we all participate in this one. But doing this Stirring Torah brought up completely new ideas I'd never thought of before, which is not the conclusion of what I'm going to say tonight, but it rewarmed me up to the possibility that the sermon has meaning. And it has meaning by thinking in terms of another aspect of what's going on in these parshiot. Because, let's go back to the skin stuff again. Basically what happens is you look, or someone in your family looks and says, you got this scaly white thing and the hairs are turning white. No, you can read the details if you want. I'm not going to go into them. And you have to then go to the Cohen, to the priest. And then the priest is going to look at it and say, okay, you're pure, you're impure. And then if you are impure, you're going to have to go out of the camp for 7 days and burn your clothes and blah, blah, blah. And then after that time, you have to go back to the Cohen and have them double check. And this is going to happen again until you're pronounced pure. Well, here's what's interesting about that one. The sociological model that's existing in this narrative is a bullseye target, if you think of it this way. So we've got concentric circles in this camp in the wilderness. We've got in the very middle the tent of meeting, and that's essentially surrounded by the Kohanim, right? The sons of Aaron, and then Moses gets to go in there as well. Outside is the second concentric circle, just like a bullseye target, very, very small, with the Levites. So essentially the priestly functionaries. They clean up all the stuff that the Kohen, make dirty through the sacrifices. Not dirty, is it? Okay, anyway, they clean up the remains. And then the rest of us, all of the tribes of Israel, 12 tribes in north, south, east, west, 4 different groups of 3 are camped the rest of it. And that's the big bulk of it. So imagine that you have just found that scaly white thing. You have to walk from probably far, far away into the very, very center, everyone looking at you more and more as you get closer. You have to talk to a Levite. Why you need to go back there, Pinchas? Well, stay away from me. Okay, there's the Cohen there. So you go and talk to the Cohen. The Cohen's like, oh, yep, yeah, okay, out of the camp. So you then go back through the Levites, through your entire camp, all the way to the outside of these concentric circles where you spend 7 days by yourself. 7 days later, and hopefully you get some food. I'm doubting they're going to let you roll a keg out there. Just saying. 7 days later, you walk all the way back through. By this time, I'm guessing there's a lot of Lashon Hora going on, because there's Pinchas, and look at what he's got. See what's going on here. this motion aspect is something that really never hit me before. Because if tzara'at is a punishment, and let's take this symbolically or literally, however you want to, but if this is the symbolic spiritual punishment for talking smack against other people, look at what the solution is. The solution isn't what people usually think it is, non-medical, primitive, we don't know any better, so let's just send someone out of the way. If Lashon Hora is happening, is it happening outside the camp, or is it happening in your tents? What's actually going on is you're walking the walk of shame, and then you're leaving where the Lashon Hora is happening for 7 days to get away from it. In many ways, it's not a punishment. It's a prize to reset, to reheal. And then if you still got the tzara'at, symbolically speaking, if you are still in that place where you need to be talking the smack, then you've still got it. You go back to the priest says back out, and you keep on being sent away to be alone, to be not connected with the people who are part of this morass that's causing this talking. Well, the easiest way to look at this is, if we find ourselves ripping people apart on Facebook, then the Facebook is not where we need to be. That's the obvious one. But I want to take it even more subtle than that, because this reminds me a lot of training to do pastoral counseling and therapy, working with people with certain kinds of addictions. And gambling addiction is one of the hardest ones to help people get over. And one of the things that you recommend when you're dealing with someone who's in therapy for gambling, and if you're going through this yourself, my heart is with you, because I know how tough this is from working with people. Oh my goodness. But one of the first things you've probably been told is if you drive by a casino on the way home from work, then you change your route. Because there's a difference between being there, oh, there's the casino, and the compulsion at that point, versus the 5 miles before I turn off, because if I decide to not turn off on that route, then I'm premeditating doing the thing I don't want to do, which is different than the compulsion in the moment. What am I saying? This movement back and forth is actually saying that we can do something about Lashon Hora, just not what we think. Saying over and over again each year, we not need to stop talking behind people's backs for ethical reasons, because we don't want them talking about our backs, doesn't work. It's never helped me. It's never helped you. We still do it. Doesn't matter how often we hear it. We still do it. Why? Because we justify it. They deserved it. Or you tell me what it is, and I'll tell you if it's Lashon Hora. Well, what if we take a moment right now, and I challenge you to do it. I challenge myself to do it. And think of under what circumstances do we enter into those dialogues? Is it online? It's going to tell you a lot about your online usage of, I basically do not reply to posts that are outside of my friend group anymore. Those random posts that you get from HuffPo or Fox News, depending on which side of the equation you're on, stop posting, because you're arguing with people who don't care about you and you don't care about them. You just want to get mad. I made the mistake in looking at an article about Israel, and I lost 3 hours of my life in absolute anger, and I know better because I've done this for a long time. This is not helping us. So if we change our route on the way home, what if we have that group of 7 friends that when we get with them, we spend all the time cutting someone down? Well, that's a group of 7 friends we don't need to meet like that. Maybe I meet with them one-on-one. Maybe we change locations. Maybe we change venue. But we get to the point where we move ourselves out of the camp to a place that we can recover, which means in order to avoid Lashon Hora, we do the work before the Lashon Hora, not after. Because in the moment, we're going to do it. We're the gambling addicts, and that's the casino. End of the story. I'm there, you're there, we are all addicts. Social media has made it worse. But my challenge on this one, and I really want to think about this, and I want us to think about this, is under what circumstances do we know we go there all the time? Can't predict everything, but I promise you, everyone already had someone pop into your head, and it's not their fault. You're both in it together. Someone pop into your head. Every time I get with Plony, we start talking smack about those people. So maybe there is something practical we can do, because on the other side of it, if we actually have this in our tradition, and by the way, Pekuach Nefesh, the requirement to save a life, has 3 exceptions. Do you know what law in Judaism has 0 exceptions? Lashon Hora. Why? Because if we have an opportunity to justify it, we will. In Lashon Hora, there's not even an exception for talking positively about someone. We're not supposed to say, you know who looked really nice, or you know who did something really nice today. We don't talk about someone when they're not in the room. And if that sounds impractical, look at how many ways that can be abused. And once again, what is it like when we know that conversations are happening about us? It's easy for us to justify it. We certainly don't want it happening behind our backs. And that brings back to We are writing into a world that is transforming rapidly. And I think when I started this sermon process this week, I said it right in my stirring Torah, I give up. You know what? I don't give up. But I think many of us have given up even thinking about it because it's too hard. And in the act of giving that one up, we are predetermining and universalizing a world where we don't get to complain then when someone destroys something because they've talked about us behind our backs. If we're not willing to do a little work here, if we're not willing to actually take this seriously, then we don't actually have a complaint anymore. And maybe that's the best justification for actually trying on this one. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Thank you all for being here. Let's go ahead and move towards the end of the service because it's getting really, really late here. And I still haven't heard complaints from the neighbors, but we're hoping that that doesn't happen. Let's go ahead and move to page 310 if you're in the same prayer book as I am, to Eleno, and please rise. עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצא בראשית, אשר בכבוד מכל העמים ונתן לנו את תורתו. ואנחנו קוראים, משתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר, והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ. ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד. Even though we don't say Kaddish in this room, since there's not 10 Jews in this room right now, perhaps you are in a room with a minyan. If so, then please get someone to lead Kaddish in this moment. Please, if you're alone, if you're with a group of other people, call out those names now that you are thinking of. Of course, we've already mentioned that we are thinking of just at the end of Shloshim for Chaim Topol, and then in the period of Shloshim and in Shiva now for Meir Shalev and for Yonatan Geffen. May their memories be for a blessing. And of course, this week we also commemorated Yom HaShoah. Talked about it a little bit at the end of my last class. And just to simply say, we need to continue teaching this to each other, our children. We are forgetting so much, and every week, we don't need to go to Godwin's Law and say, oh, that's Hitler every time we see something, but I don't know about you, but I'm seeing more and more things that say that we've forgotten. The Holocaust is step 120 out of all the steps. The bullying on the playground is step 1, but how many times have we in the last months and years seen already step 60 going, step 70, step 80? So let's pull back from that brink, and part of how we do that is remembering the souls of the 6 million Jews that were murdered in the name of so many things that are not what we want to elevate on the face of this planet. May all their names be for a blessing. Please take a moment now and call all those names that are meaningful to you in this moment. Please rise, and we take a moment of silence. And if you're saying Kaddish at home, please say Kaddish. Say shalom bim romav huya say shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imeru amen. Oh, say shalom bim romav huya say shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imeru amen. the source of strength, grant strength to all those who are in mourning, strength for us to elevate each other, strength for us to remember those that we have lost, and may we all say, Amen. Thank you, as always, all of you that have been here. I can never see the computers I'm doing this, so I have no idea who's on. If it's one of you, and I heard from at least one person in Britain who's there late at night, so I hope you chose good beverages to accompany this. Thank you. Thank you all for being a part of this. Please let me know if, when I do future services, if there are names you want me to bring out. If you want to learn the music, just let me know. There's a SoundCloud, P-Strasco, which has all this music on it, except for the new Mizmor Shir, which I will get up in the next few weeks. In the meantime, go ahead and grab a little fruit of the vine if you happen to have that nearby, as I still have Manischewitz left over from Pesach, so get the really good Kiddush wine this time. Please rise. יום השישי ויחל השמיים והארץ וכל צבאם ויחל אלוהים ביום השביעי מלאכתו אשר עשה וישבות ביום השביעי מכל מלאכתו אשר עשה ויברך אלוהים את יום השביעי ויקדש אותו כי בו שבת מכל מלאכתו אשר ברא אלוהים לעשות. סברי חבריי, ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם בורא פרי הגפן. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם אשר קידשנו במצוותיו ורצבנו ושבת קודשו באהבה ורצון הנחלנו זיכרון למעשה בראשית כי הוא יום תחילה למקראי קודש זכר ליציאת מצרים כי באנו ובחרת ואותנו קידשת מכל העמים ושבת קודשך באהבה וברצון הנחלתנו ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש השבת לחיים. Yes, there is a hidden Rebbitzin in the room, I promise you, who is now going to magically hand me whatever she's poured me for Fabringen. If you choose to do so with me, I think we've got Slivovitz tonight. That's a very kosher Yugoslavian Jewish drink. So, very good. And Strashko is Croatian name, so there we have it. So, pour yourself something, and let us just add one more blessing to what we do. And let me know if you've stuck around this long. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם שיכול נהיה בדברו לחיים לחיים. Shabbat shalom, everyone. Take care. We'll see you next time.